Okay, now I welcome our guest speaker, Rotarian Shri Jhankar Gadkari ji, for a presentation on a very interesting topic, Meri Delhi, for our IRMA members. I request President Mahadevan ji to welcome Rotarian Shri Jhankar Gadkari ji with a floral bouquet.
So welcome, sir. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you very much.
I now request our past president, Shri Ballal Chandrachud, to introduce our speaker so that we can go on with our lecture.
I'll request our Honorary Secretary Aditya to please escort the guest speaker, Rotarian Jhankar Gadkari, to the dais. Friends, it is a proud privilege, certainly, and an honor for me to introduce a close friend and a towering personality like Jhankar Gadkari. Friends, before I start with his little longish biodata of his achievements, I'm going to let out some secrets which some he may not remember himself, because our friendship has been more than 3 decades.
Yep, true.
So, first and foremost, friends, he's a person with fantastic connections and friendships with people. He has got so many celebrities up his sleeves. Forget about me and Dhananjay. But, do you know Sachin Tendulkar? He's a member of our Rotary Club of Devnar, honorary member because of him. International artist, Sarod player, Pandit Vyas, is a member of our Rotary Club of Devnar, again honorary member because of him. Right from there to Popat Rao, of famous person in agriculture, Hirve Bazar, who has completely turned a completely green revolution, who is, I think, honored by Prime Minister also, is a friend of him. Right. So he has got number of people. As a legal advisor, I think he must have forgotten, to Air India Union, he has sat for negotiations with JRD Tata. Right?
Yeah, kind of.
So, second thing, again I envy of him, his passion in everything, friends. In everything, whatever he does. If I go on telling you all the things, I think it will be 10 o'clock here only. But to name a few, see, he has got a passion of collecting antiques, pashmina shawls, and many, many such things. He has a passion for wines and cheese. Ajkal is not inviting me, I don't know why, but he has got fascinating. If you want to see the number of different types of cheese what are available in the world, he'll be having. He is an artist. He makes wooden artifacts by his own hands, including furniture and an excellent chair. Can you believe that? Passion, nothing else. So similar is his passion. Now I'll come to his main biodata, because his passion has turned him what he is today. Jhankar is a passionate facilitator and an ardent corporate trainer. See, despite having law background, his passion for touching humanity has driven him to the field of training and coaching. He is a founder of AEIOU Consulting, a firm specializing in emotional quotient profiling, workshops and coaching with verticals in grooming, business etiquette, and cross-cultural competencies. He was the founder, director, and chief training officer of MetaHuman Consultancy, a venture dedicated to and having its core emotional quotient. He is an associate of the Institute of Company Secretary, that is a company secretary, nothing to do with his business, but passion. He holds a degree of law in public and private international law, and Also, he has done his master's in law, that is LLM, in air and outer space laws as major. He also holds a degree in commerce and diploma in financial management. He is also a certified coach and a profiler of emotional quotient by exponents of EQ, 6 Seconds Incorporated, a US-based company. He was invited to do his master's and doctoral thesis in commercial laws from Institute and Outer Space Laws at the McGill University, Montreal, Canada. He is also the external panelist for Wellington Institute of Management. He has been a part of ITM production program for Institute of Management and Science in Navi Mumbai. He holds varied interest and is an eternal student of world, culture and history, again passion. And today's speech outcome is of that, Meri Delhi, that is his title of his. He is often invited as a speaker and trainer in various forums such as Indian Merchant Chambers, corporate houses, educational institutions, government and non-government bodies, and now IRMA. He speaks on subjects ranging from management, productivity enhancement, leadership, soft skills, cross-cultural competencies, international relations, conflict resolutions, and so many others. I've been lucky to hear him several times, and he's really wonderful. His high point was when he addressed the Millionaires Club at West Palm Beach, Florida, US. So that is one of the achievements, that he has addressed the dollar millionaires. And lastly, again, one more secret. He has ventured in production of a TV serial many, many years back. Have you forgotten, sir, that?
No, I'm aware of
So
that.
please give him a big round of applause. Shankar Gadkari.
Thank you very much, Ballu, for a wonderful insight into my own self. So something new to me as well. And I would rather stand here and do the presentation if it's fine with you. And congratulations to the newly elected, nominated President Mahadevan Saab. And congratulations to Mr. Challawala Saab. Where is Mr. Challawala Saab? There you go. So I'm sure it must have been a very challenging time for you to do that in this 18 months of lockdown and isolation and whatnot. Well, anyway, thank you very much, Ballu, and also very happy to see a young toddler whom I have seen as a young boy turn himself into a secretary of IRMA, one of the foremost bodies. And I wish to see him lead IRMA one of these days. I'm sure it will happen. So thank you very much for inviting me again. And today, I must tell you this, just for the word that I have given Ballu. I was in Delhi and I had very important commitment in the evening. Of course, I had given him the commitment of being here today morning, but today I must make it a little more catchy by saying I have flown from Delhi to tell you about Meri Delhi today morning. Okay, I would have been staying back in Delhi but for the fact that I was supposed to be here. Anyway, this is a topic, this is a subject which you might just wonder whether we are going to be speaking about a city which most of us know, and I'm sure there would be very rarely a person here who would have not visited Delhi. I'm sure everybody has. If there is anybody who has not, please raise your hand. I'm sure there is none. Delhi has been a capital city. Delhi has been a city where all kind of power politics happens and so on and so forth. My attempt here is not to give you the history element of Delhi. I'm not a historian, but I seek the turning points in the history and how they impacted humanity. And there would be a few turning points as I go with my presentation. Okay? So here we go about Meri Delhi. The only attempt, and this is exactly what I'm trying to do. I have come from Lucknow to Delhi and then so on and so forth. I personally feel, very vehemently I feel, that our history if our past is not known to us and to my generation next, then they would never be able to progress in the future, simply because history teaches you not to make the same mistakes which you did it in the past. That's the best thing that history teaches you. And that's, one needs to acknowledge that in every sense of it. In the industry, there is a history to every industry for that matter, and you need to go back in the past to understand what are the elements which were made to you to get into the progressive element of it, and what has been those mistakes which regressed you back home. So the whole idea of getting into the history is this. So it is Merry Delhi, my friends, only trying to dispel some myths or thoughts about every human being that Delhi has only been ruled by the Mughals. Every other monument that you go there and you see, "Arey, ye to Mughlon ne banaya hua hai, ye isne banaya hua hai." We do not really know exactly. So I'm going to give you the perspective, put everything in the simplest possible manner so that you go home a little more clearer about Delhi. Delhi has seen enough amount of bloodbath. Delhi has seen enough amount of glory. And Delhi has also seen enough amount of intrigue, which we all experience almost on every other day. So I'm going to take you through the whole magnum opus of Delhi in the simplest possible manner in the next 35 to 40 minutes that has been allotted to me. So here it is, Delhi, my friends. So understand the fact. One thing I need you to understand is that almost 90 years prior to 1947, that is before we became independent, there was a very serious attempt for freedom from the clutches of the slavery of the Britishers. And the serious attempt was in 1857, the rebellion of 1857. Unfortunately, my friends, unfortunately, and I really get choked when I say that. I went to Lucknow and I saw something and I said, why was this history never told to me? The kind of attempt that was made in 1857 is amazing. You cannot imagine the kind of attempt that was made. Unfortunately, it was unorganized, leaderless, and that is where the failure lays. And here it is, Merry Delhi. What you see here, my friends, it's extremely pictorial, and I'm going to get straight into the subject. It's extremely pictorial. What you see here is a piche wala hissa of Red Fort. Everybody has seen Red Fort. You know what is behind Red Fort, sir? Can we have a little interaction? What is behind Red Fort? Which river? Yamuna. Yamuna River. Have you ever thought of the fact that Yamuna, the same Yamuna River, also is a piche wala hissa of Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal in Agra. At some point in time, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, only gentlemen, that was a main source of communication and transportation, especially for the Mughals when they occupied both these cities. One was Agra first, later on it was Shahjahanabad, which was established by Shah Jahan, one of the emperors, and then later on it became Delhi, etc., etc. Anyway, point is that this is the place which is a piche wala hissa of Delhi, and that is the Burj called Musamman Burj, where the Emperor of India at that point in time used to sit every day in the morning and give audience to his subjects. Aap samajh rahe ho? What you see of the Red Fort, which was known as Qila-e-Mubarak, we call it Red Fort. The real name of Red Fort is Qila-e-Mubarak, when Shah Jahan built it. And there was a huge palace, a marble palace inside it. You don't see even a facet of it, simply because it was all destroyed after 1857. The Britishers destroyed everything there. So that there was a regular palace over there. The emperor would sit in the Musamman Burj and give darshan to his subjects. Here is the place where you can see some darshan, and thanks to the gentleman called Ghulam Ali, who was a Mughal painter who has made such beautiful paintings. They are very rare paintings. You can have it in the archives of India in Delhi. Very, very rare. They are almost like photographs. Almost like photographs. Ghulam Ali was a court painter of the Mughals, and he painted all these things. Here is Yamuna River. Just orient yourself. This is Red Fort, Yamuna River, and there are people watching it, and there are few people giving darshan to the emperor. And in 1857, who was the emperor? Any idea, sir? I'm not going to test you, but if you have any idea, take it. Who was the last emperor of India? Bahadur Shah Zafar. The Bahadur Shah Zafar was sitting here and giving darshan. Bahadur Shah Zafar was not a very effective emperor. He was an emperor, all right, but उन्होंने पतंग करने के अलावा और शायरी करने के अलावा ज़्यादा कुछ किया नहीं. Because he was a very powerless person. So this is the case at that point in time. And what did he experience at that point? And people ran to him. I am not telling you these stories because I want to tell you these stories. There is a reference to this. And I'll give you the reference where I'm coming from. People came in a very hurried way and told him कि भैया कोई घुड़सवार आ रहे हैं यमुना पार, मतलब from this side. From this side, some घुड़सवार are coming, and we do not know who they are, where they are coming from, and what is the purpose of them to come to Delhi. They have no idea. Over a period of time, they realized they were the mutineers who had rebelled in Meerut, because the first spark of mutiny happened in Meerut. And they were coming to Delhi only to seek leadership. Every organization, every association, every country requires a leader to be guided. And they were seeking leadership, howsoever useless he was. But he was an emperor, correct? So here is the case where the mutineers run to Delhi only to seek leadership in Bahadur Shah Zafar. That's the case. The first thing Bahadur Shah Zafar felt was that bhaiya, somebody is attacking Delhi. So what he does is, he closes the gates of Delhi so that nobody enters the Delhi, because at that point in time it was Shahjahanabad, it was a gated or a walled city with 14 gates, for your information. And these are the references. Jahir Dehlvi has written a book called Dastan-e-Ghazar, and he was again a court poet of Bahadur Shah Zafar who documented everything. Even if it is exaggerated claim, still we get some facts out of it. History depends on all such kind of evidences and researches. So here is the case. So he closes the gates of Delhi. Okay? What happens when these mutineers or rebels get inside the gates of Delhi is an absolute massacre of every other Britisher that comes across on the street. Absolute bloodbath. It's mentioned very, very categorically there was a bloodbath of every Christian and every Britisher. Because the mutineers were harried. बहुत सह लिया था उन लोगों ने. And they just wanted, it was a rage. They wanted to just give, went to their rage, and that's exactly what they did. What was happening at the same time? Now imagine Delhi, whatever little that you can visualize. There is Lal Killa, and on the right hand side, if you have a back to Lal Killa, is a little mount of Aravalis which is known as Northern Ridge, which was outside the gated community of Shahjahanabad, outside. And that was known as the British civil lines. Britishers are the one who divided the civil lines and cantonment. Everybody knows that. Civil lines, civilians would say, and cantonment, army would say. So वहाँ उनकी एक civil lines हुआ करती थी. People have not seen that part of Delhi. That's exactly what I want you to know, that that's the most important part of Delhi and not only Red Fort or whatever you see. So there were 2 telegraph officers manning the telegraph office over there, watching from a little height, elevated platform, seeing what was happening in the city of Delhi. Imagine, such buildings were not there, they could have a complete clear view to that. And all they were able to see was some chaos. They were not able to really fix as to what had happened. So they just make a small telegram. And I would like to read it verbatim. These are all documented, my friends. Nothing coming from my own. A very meager official telegram was sent to Ambala. And what did they say? Because they did not know what was happening. And this is the turning point, my friend. They said something is happening in Delhi. We do not know what. But at this point in time, we will be leaving the outpost at 3 o'clock. That's all that is mentioned in that telegram. I have a copy of that in the sense, pulled out from the net, of course. What I wanted to tell you was this entire episode started at almost 9 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning on 11th of May, 1857. I'll be very clear. Just remember these small dates if you can do that, okay? This is what Delhi looked like. Please have a good look at it. You will see it. This is Red Fort. Say yes if you have been able to. This is the Burj, Yamuna, and this is the entire walled city with 14 gates. And this is the bridge of boats where the people were riding all the way from Trans Jamuna inside, and they get inside the Kashmiri gate somehow. And this is the walled city. Just imagine, my friends, Chandni Chowk, Jama Masjid. I'm sure everybody is able to orient themselves. Okay? And here is where the whole thing happened, the telegraph office. ये बंदे यहाँ से देख रहे थे कि कुछ गड़बड़ हो रही है अंदर, but were not very sure as to what was happening. Yeah? And here is the flag post. Now, this is the orientation. Are we clear on that? And this is the Kashmiri Gate. Remember, this Kashmiri Gate plays an extremely important role in the history of India, for that matter. Don't ever dismiss that. Go there, matha tek ke aa jao. Aap samjhe? This is the flag post which I showed you just now. This is the flag post. You see this flag post here? These are all drawn by hand, by the way. Somebody has done it. It's a lithograph. And this is the flag post, which was what it looked like then. And this is the same flag post which you can witness it today. And from there, everything was being seen, what was happening in the city. And this is where the Britishers took refuge to save themselves from the Qatl. At the same time, there is also a huge Jheel or Talab behind this flag post, which is called Khuni Jheel. Many British men and women were killed and dumped into that lake. It is supposed to be haunted, and that is, at this very point in time, my friends, this area is the University of Delhi. At this point in time, this area is the University of Delhi. Next time you go to Delhi, please visit these small things which have made a big difference to you and me. Please do that, because you are always guided by somebody. Ye dekho, wo dekho, choti cheezein humko dikhayenge nahi, but these are the turning points. And this is the Kashmiri Gate. Kashmiri Gate, everybody knows. It looks like this today, but this was what it looked at that point in time. 11th of May, my friends, the rebels take over Delhi. They go to Bahadur Shah Zafar and tell him, you be our leader and we'll do the needful. Britishers are killed inside the city gates and city walls, and now this telegraph has gone to Ambala for some help. Understand the story. And Ambala acts upon it immediately. And Chandigarh and Ambala send some troops to rescue Delhi and recapture Delhi. And they try and they try and they try and they try for almost how many days? 132 days. This is 132 days of rebellion in India. Nobody knows this. And I can tell you, it was spreading like wildfire. It spread to Lucknow, it spread to Kanpur, it spread to Jhansi, and so on and so forth. But we really have no idea. There is a lot to understand how we started this. Any which way, my friends, it was breached on 21st of September 1857. And where did they breach it? Kashmiri Gate. And that is why I'm showing this to you. Next time you go, it has an extremely important historic importance when you go to Delhi, because hundreds and thousands of rebels were killed over there, and somebody who could breach it was this gentleman called General John Nicholson. Brigadier John Nicholson was the one who led this entire assault, and he breached Kashmiri Gate, and they got inside. And what followed was what happened for the Britishers. Every other Muslim and a rebel was put to death. Similar kind of a bloodbath happened almost after 182 days. Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was the considered leader, ran and hid himself in Humayun's tomb. He was arrested over there. His 3 children were also arrested. And as a part of lesson to be taught to Indians, these 3 children were paraded naked in Chandni Chowk, beheaded in his presence, and he was exiled in Rangoon. So our last emperor died in Rangoon, which is in Burma. Okay, so that is the story of all these things. And this is the Nicholson graveyard near Kashmiri Gate. If you go there, please have a look. कश्मीरी गेट का आजकल वहाँ एक मेट्रो स्टेशन है. I am telling you with conviction because I visited all these places, because I am interested in getting to know and connect the dots of history. This is where it is, Nicholson Cemetery. And this is how during the siege and after the siege, when the rebels were caught, they were put to death by putting them on the cannon and they were blown up. That was the kind of punishment that was there. The last Mughal, that is Bahadur Shah Zafar, was arrested, captured in Humayun's tomb, and his, as I told you, his 3 children were paraded naked and finally put to death and was exiled to Burma, where he died. Okay? Now, why am I giving you this story? Why am I giving you this story? For us to understand how the things changed after the 1957 rebellion. These are few monuments which you would have never been shown by anybody. Nobody would have shown you. This is a monument erected by the British government and the British East India Company, because till 1857 we were being controlled, not ruled by the East India Company. That is why you may have got these mentions of Company Sarkar. These mentions, these terms are used as Company Sarkar. So we as Indians, we should understand and distinguish ourselves as to what is the meaning of that. So Company Sarkar, this is a monument, my friends, which is erected in the memory of those 2 signaliers from the telegraph office who are supposed to have saved India, says a British governor. Correct? उनके हिसाब से तो उन्होंने इंडिया बचाया. तो टेलीग्राम नहीं आता तो अंबाला से ट्रूप नहीं आता तो rebel would have taken over Delhi and so on and so forth. These are a few things which are never known. This is a mutiny memorial. Can you be aware of the fact that Britishers have built a mutiny memorial for the victory over the mutineers in India, and we have got that memorial still standing tall in the very city of Delhi. Now, to tell you about Delhi. The perception about every other person is that Delhi has been ruled by the Mughals, and Delhi, anything and everything which has happened in Delhi is either British or Mughal, is completely wrong. Any discrepancy on that or any dispute in that, we can discuss it after the whole thing offline. Okay? The name Delhi, probably, these are all surmises, comes from Dahlij. You know what is the meaning of Dahlij? Dahlij? Umberta. Threshold. So Delhi is the Umberta or the threshold of Doab. You know what is the meaning of Doab? Doab. Doab, Mesopotamia. What is Mesopotamia? Mesopotamia is a land between 2 rivers. Any land between 2 rivers, the Greek word for it is Mesopotamia, and land between 2 rivers, the Hindi or Urdu word is Doab. So Delhi is a threshold of a Doab. And what is the land between 2 rivers, and which are the 2 rivers? Ganga and Yamuna. Here it is. Here it is. Okay? This is Delhi, this is Yamuna, and this is Ganga. Okay, so this is a threshold. It could also be Dilpat. In fact, there is a mention that this area was called Dilpat. This is an area. I am not considering it as a city at that point in time. There is a mention of this. Delhi also has its mention in Mahabharata. What is it called? No, sir. You're kind of closer to that. Indraprastha. Okay? Why Indraprastha? आप समझे? Indraprastha. And there are remains and excavations that are found near Old Delhi. We don't know whether really Pandavas existed and really if any such thing like Mahabharata ever took place. We don't know, but there are enough amount of evidences, the 3,500 years old story, that some existence of some civilization was there in Old City, Old Killa or Old Fort of Delhi. So, Delhi is on the threshold, and this is the Doab, a land between 2 rivers. Now you need to understand the roadmap of Delhi to be very, very clear about Delhi from tomorrow onwards. Delhi is not only been ruled by the Mughals, that's the first thing. Delhi also was not ruled by the Britishers, that's the second thing. You be very clear about it, and I will just give it to you right away. So to begin with, if there is any reference to Delhi or the area that you may put it, is Indraprastha. That's the first beginning, because as much as you go deeper into it, there is no reference point. So you have to stop at a reference point. उसके पहले भी कुछ होता होगा, उसके पहले भी कुछ होता होगा. तो कहीं ना कहीं तो हमको रुकना पड़ता है और वहां से शुरुआत करेंगे हम. So here it is, prehistoric, that is Vedic period, Mahabharata. Correct? First thing, उस एरिया में जो दिल्ली आप देखते हो वो नहीं, उस एरिया को कहो. Just try that, get that thing out of mind कि दिल्ली सिटी, that उस एरिया में. उसके बाद there's a very important thing which you need to understand. The first and the last Hindu emperor of Delhi was Prithviraj Chauhan. First and the last. There was no other Hindu emperor after which. Okay? So here is the second mention of Prithviraj Chauhan. 1162 to 1199. Then comes Ghoris and Ghaznis, and Islam was born, and so on and so forth, and the message, spreading of the message happened, and many people who saw this as a Sone ki Chidiya crossed over from Kandahar all the way through Khyber and into India and into Delhi. And these kind of people were coming in surge after surge after surge. For almost 600 years this surge happened, up until the time that the Mughals came, who not only came here but settled down here. Everybody else came, went back. Came, went back. Looted, went back. This is the kind of a rape of your country and your cities. Yes, you have to accept it. So Qutbuddin Aibak, he was a slave of Muhammad Ghori. उस बंदे ने क्या किया, भैया मैंने तो ले गया, मेरे को जो लेना है, तुम रहो, become a governor of this area and control this area. Qutbuddin Aibak, responsible for Qutub Minar, Istamish and all that. So Qutub Minar has got nothing to do with Mughals. अब तक मुगल आए भी नहीं. In this entire story, Mughals have not yet appeared. Alauddin Khilji. Thank God for Padmavati and other things, we get to know some snippets of Delhi. Okay? उसके बाद Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He was responsible for getting his capital from that area, Tughlaqabad, which is close to Delhi, all the way to Daulatabad. Where is Daulatabad? In Maharashtra. वो बंदे ने सब पूरी की पूरी दुनिया वहां से नीचे लेकर आई. उसके लिए उसको येड़ा तुगलक कहते हैं, Mad Tughlaq. And he went back because there was a water shortage. Many people died in this entire, because it was a leadership that was failing in that point in time. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah took Kotla ground. सुना होगा आपने, जहाँ के क्रिकेट की सामने होते हैं. Sher Shah Suri in between. Who was he and why was he important for us? Who said that? Beautiful. One more thing I want you to, because we are indebted to him. He gave us rupee. रुपया जो बनाया है वो इस बंदे ने दिया हमको. उसके पहले हमारे पास जो भी था, it was called taka, और individual kings had their own ideas about it. So very well said, my friend. Grand Trunk Road. From where does Grand Road, that road goes from to which part? Any idea, sir? कहाँ से? Very well. From starts from? Somebody said Calcutta. Chittagong, to be very precise. मतलब बांग्लादेश में वहां से लेके काबुल तक जाता है. अब can you imagine? Somebody made this kind of a road, and today we are still struggling with Bombay to Delhi road. Whatever be the case. So that road was very, very, very regularly used by every other person. That's the kind of achievement these people have, and that is the kind of a present that these people have given it to us. Okay? Then you have Jalaluddin Akbar. Of course, he did not come to Delhi. He was in Agra. वो आए नहीं. उसके ऊपर, that is why the person who actually came to Delhi from the Mughal dynasty is Shah Jahan. So now be very clear about it, my friend. So there were 500 years almost from here till 1648. 500 years to 600 years it was ruled by non-Mughal emperors. Are we clear on that? This man comes to Delhi and forms it into Shahjahanabad as a new city. And वो मैंने आपको बताया how it looked like. जामा मस्जिद वगैरह जो है वो वही की है. After which it was taken over or managed rather by East India Company, correct? Not the Britishers. And after 1850, that's why I'm giving you back and forth into the whole story. In 1857 ke baad, because of mismanagement of East India Company, what happened? What happened, sir? For the first time, and you must distinguish this part of it, for the first time, they dissolved the company to begin with, the first step. After which they said, this is a colony of the British Crown, and the King and the Queen of England will be the Emperor and Empress of India. Are we clear on this? It happened in 1857-58. So in other words, the British government actually ruled India for 90 years only. Now, 1857, British government. But the Britishers, in the form of East India Company, they ruled us much before that. Ruling, controlled us, because it's a misnomer to say. And after that, 1857 ke baad, the Crown took over and they started us. Okay? Company Sarkar ends in 1857. British Raj takes over in 1858. And, of course, the Republic of India in 1947. Are we very clear on this? Very, very clear. Be very clear. It's your own country, my friends. And you need to know about your own country, and least that you can get to know about it is the capital of your country. Be very clear about it. Don't be confused about life. And here is the story. One by one, quickly, in exactly 2 minutes, I will cover up those 7 kingdoms, or the 7 kings and the ruling families which ruled Delhi and what they contributed to that area. First is Indraprastha. We started with Indraprastha, correct? Correct? A simple dialogue, my friends. Oh, Duryodhana, give those 5 brothers who is negotiating here, Krishna. He said, Duryodhan, bhaiya, ye 5 bandon ko, 5, kam se kam 5 villages de de, and avoid the war. That is a flashpoint of Mahabharata. That's a flashpoint of Gita. That's a flashpoint of Dharma. And that's a flashpoint of Adharma also. De do bhaiya. Kaun se mange the usne? Indraprastha, Panipat, that is Panapat, or Panaprastha, which is today's Panipat. These are historic facts. So if Panipat is there, there is a mention of this somewhere, much before you were born and I was born. So nobody just, there has to be some reality and record of this myth. Panaprastha, Sonaprastha. He said, give one more. Sonaprastha bhi de do. 5 logo ko 5 de dena. Indraprastha, Panaprastha, Sonaprastha, Tilaprastha, and Vyaghraprastha, which is Bagpat. Okay? Are we clear? These are all existing in Haryana and UP and Delhi area. Everybody knows that. Okay? I'm sure you must be having some clientele over there. And this is the imaginary map of Indraprastha. Do not go by this. This is just one of those things. And these are the excavations which are found in the old Killa, or the Purana Killa as it is called. And this proves that there was a civilization almost about 305,000 years ago. These are certain things which you will find very interesting. And it has its possible connection to Mahabharata. There is something called Nili Chhatri Mandir. Go and visit it. I am taking you to that part of Delhi which you have not even thought about going. Nili Chhatri Mandir, वो छतरी के ऊपर, on the dome, घुमच के ऊपर भगवान है. उसको दारू पिलाई जाती है, and he is supposed to be blessing everybody. And it was made by none other than somebody from Mahabharata. Nilam Bodh Ghat. It has come in the newspaper recently because of COVID and the death of so many people, Nilam Bodh Ghat. This also is one of those areas which has been mentioned in Mahabharata. Today, this is a crematorium. Okay? Then comes the Islam. 7th century, and Islam is born. And the first thing that the Islam did was to spread the message of Muhammad. And how do you spread? Either by request or by force. And that is how the raids after raids of Ghoris and Ghaznis happened. ये सब जो भी हुआ, ये बंदे जहां से भी आए उस जगह का नाम है अफगानिस्तान। और ये सब चीजें हैं, गजनी जगह है, गोरी जगह है, काबुल है, कंदहर है जो सुनते हो, और उनके लिए एक ही पैसेज था, वो है खैबर। वहीं से आते थे। हिंदू कुश वॉज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू ब्रीच, तो दे कुड ओनली कम फ्रॉम खैबर पास। रावलपिंडी, खैबर, पंजाब, तो पंजाबियों ने जितना ब्लड बाथ देखा है हम लोगों ने नहीं देखा यहाँ। एंड दैट इज वाई यू विल फाइंड द मैरिजेस एंड एवरी सेरेमनीज ऑफ पंजाबीज, दे लिव इट अप बिकॉज दैट इज देयर एटीट्यूड। आज ही जीना है यार, कल क्या मिलेगा मालूम नहीं, बिकॉज दैट वाज हाउ दे लिव्ड एवरी डे ऑफ देयर लाइफ। Interesting for us to understand the Khalsa. Okay? Why am I giving you all this, my friends? Because these things are ours. हमारे हैं यार। अगर हमारी अपनी चीज हमको नहीं मालूम है तो क्या है मतलब? Then is पृथ्वीराज चौहान, इनका किला, किला लाए पिठोरा अभी भी वहां है, very close to Saket. This is Qutbuddin Aibak, Ghori's slave who was left behind. What happened? He made these huge monuments which we still go there, visit it, thinking it is made by Mughals. No, Mughal had nothing to do with it. Okay? City number 3, Alauddin Khilji. Siri Fort Auditorium, naam suna hoga, in Delhi. Around that is the Siri Fort and Hauskas area. Aap gaye ho? It's today a very plush shopping area. There's a deer garden and a water tank over there, huge. Hauskas area. So these were 7 different cities in and around Delhi, established by these guys and ruled from there. Okay? Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Tughlaqabad. Unka kila abhi tak pada. You can go and visit it. Interesting understanding. Firuz Shah Tughlaq. I have told you about Kotla ground, okay? And there is something which you need to go there on Thursdays or Fridays, which is called the City of Jeans. That will be a different subject altogether, but I would continue with this. This is Sher Shah Suri, जिन्होंने first Indian rupee, and somebody told me about the Grand Trunk Express or the Grand Trunk Road. Sher Shah Suri had a tomb in Bihar. You can go and see it in Sasaram, huge tomb. And he's always been revered over there because he was a reformist in India at that point in time. And this is the Grand Road Express, my friend, your Grand Road Express, which is where the British Army is walking. And this is the today's Grand Road Express that you see today. They made it on the same lines with the least possible deviation. And this is what you see it. And it started from Chittagong and went all the way to Kabul. उसको क्या कहते हैं? जर्नेली सड़क, 2,800 kilometers long. How do you like that? 2,800 kilometers long, made by Sher Shah Suri. And then comes our friend Shahjahan, who makes this Shahjahanabad, Chandni Chowk, Red Fort, जो आपको तुमने बताया. This is the ridge, my friends, which is where the whole scenario was getting unfolded, and I am now bringing you back to what I started with. Okay? Having told you and probably dispelled the myth that Delhi was always ruled by Mughals. No. It took 600 years before Mughals came in. So that is the first thing that you need to go home with. The court painter of Ghulam Ali, जैसे मैंने बताया, इस बंदे ने अगर नहीं लिखा होता तो you would have never understood what Delhi looked like. This is what Chandni Chowk looked like. This is what Jama Masjid looked like. It is almost like a picture. This is what the eastern gates of Jama Masjid looked like. Beautiful. This is the Red Fort. This is the palace. You see this? This is the Ajmeri gate, Lahori gate, and Diwani Khas. These are all hand paintings which you will find it in the Indian archives back home in Delhi. And this is where the bird's eye view of Delhi is. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different cities in 7 different areas in today's time all come together as a part of Delhi city. What happened on the 2nd of August 1958 is, I told you, Queen Victoria takes over Delhi, the rule of India, and declares herself and her husband as Emperor and Empress of India. And then what does he say? There is a declaration which is called a Magna Carta, and he says that we will protect the राजा राजवाड़ों को, विल प्रोटेक्ट देम. एंड इफ यू सी इट, जो भी प्रॉस्पेरिटी आपने देखी है, जो भी आज व्हाट यू एक्सपीरियंस द महाराजाज ऑफ इंडिया actually started from 1857 till 1947, 90 साल के लिए. Because Mughal dynasty had come down, Marathas had come down, and everybody declared themselves Rajas and Maharajas, as a result of which, my friends, on the 14th of August 1947, how many principalities we had? Take a guess. How many principalities we had? 5,000? No, sir. Raja Maharaja, all principalities. Why? Close to 565. Okay? The people who did not, and that is why we credit Vallabhbhai Patel for. Because he went from principality to principality and asking them to join the Union of India. And who rebelled against it? Hyderabad, Kashmir, and Junagadh, and to a large extent Jodhpur as well. Okay? And they were the rebels, and we had to take over forcefully. We had to attack Hyderabad. We had to attack Junagadh, but we couldn't do anything as far as Kashmir was concerned because it was a buffer state, and our friend Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru had a close affinity to that state. Very personal, subjective. Okay? It's a fact of life. Okay? So this is the proclamation, Magna Carta, which is what Queen Victoria takes over and does it. And this is what India looked like, my friend. India looked like this, because India at that point in time was divided into two countries. Please be very clear as an Indian. One ruled and controlled by the principalities, Rajas and Maharajas, and one controlled by the British government. Bombay, for that matter, was controlled by British government. Are we clear? Are we clear? Kolhapur, for that matter, was controlled by Shahu Maharaj and the Bhosla family. Janjira was controlled by Nawab of Janjira, small and big. Baroda was controlled by Gaikwads, and Indore was controlled by Holkars, and Dewas was controlled by Puwars. Incidentally, my friends, my surname is Gadkari. I come with a title called Gadkari because I am supposed to be, that title says, the one who takes care of the Gad or the fort. This is my name. And the fact is that I come from Devas because my great-grandfather served the royal family of Devas as Diwans. So we had a huge amount of property over there. People came here, the story is completely different, but this is a small background of mine. You might look at my profile, it looks more royal, yeah? Have it. Okay. Because पुराने ज़माने में वो क्या होता था, every other person, अकबर का फोटो देखोगे तो ऐसा खड़ा होता है साइड में, आगे से कोई दिखता ही नहीं, शाहजहां ऐसे. तो मैंने कहा हमारा भी प्रोफाइल देख दो, कहीं दिखेगा आपको रॉयल्टी उसमें. हाँ जी, गड़ गया. तो ये देखिए सर, दिस इज व्हाट आई सी. दिस वाज अ ब्रिटिश इंडिया. व्हाइट वाला जो चक्कर है जो दिख रहा है, दैट इज द independent princely states. Why princely states? Have you ever given a thought that you call them Rajas and Maharajas, but the British records say Princess of India? Why? Give a thought, sir. This is your country and these are all your own concepts. They were called princes. Exactly, very well said. And they were allowed only a turban and a surpage and not a crown. Find one prince or a Raja or Maharaja who wore a crown, and I will give you anything except for the family coming from Audh. They were given the title of king. So, Wajid Ali Shah, who was the last emperor or the last king of Awadh, died in Calcutta, and that is when they say the last king of India. Otherwise, it was Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. Incidentally, he died before that. So the last king of India was Wajid Ali Shah. Since the Britishers acknowledged that he should be considered as a king and not as a prince, for whatever reasons, political reasons, okay? And corruption था बहुत. किसमें? East India Company में. White Mughals, they were called white Mughals. They made so much amount of money, my friends, that they were richer than the rich kings of Europe. इतना पैसा कमाया उन लोगों ने. Lord Clive, Robert Clive का नाम तो सुना होगा आपने. He won that first Battle of Plassey. वो अपने गांव गया और अपने बंगला बनाया बहुत बड़ी स्टेट. उसका नाम भी प्लासी दे दिया. और he took home hordes and hordes of huge trophies from India. That's a kind of a loot. Please understand that we were looted in a very ruthless way. We really were a place where सोने की गंगा होती थी, सही माने में. It's a fact of life. Why the hell do you think they all came here? Because they had none and we had everything. I would not be going to some other place which is not giving me anything, and there was no reason for an Indian to go out and loot anything else. So, these are the few things which I am telling you. David Ochterlony was one of the directors of East India Company. I am giving you small snippets of it. 13 wives, lived like a Mughal in Delhi. David Ochterlony की कोठी पे गया हूँ मैं. It's turned into a public library. It's called Ochterlony. 13 wives. Every evening he would take 13 wives on 13 different elephants. And one of his wives, who was his favorite, or not a wife, his favorite concubine or whatever, उसके नाम से उसने एक मस्जिद बनाई. आज भी उस मस्जिद को रंडी की मस्जिद कहते हैं. Because he was not a wedded wife. It is there in one of the Chowdi bazaars, if you go and see it. Okay, these are a few things which I wanted to show you about the white Mughals. And what happened? 1858, now remember this very well. 1858, Queen Victoria takes over India. But till then, where were they operating from? कहीं से तो रूल करते होंगे ना, कहीं से तो एडमिनिस्टर करते होंगे. कहाँ से? Calcutta. Because East India Company's headquarters was Calcutta, so they started from there. So in 1911, for the first time, British King Pancham George, King George V, decides to visit India. 1911. And he also decides that we are shifting the capital from Calcutta to Delhi. So, Delhi is not the capital of India ever since, from the modern point of view, but Delhi has been a capital of various families and dynasties up until then. So officially, in today's time, Indian capital was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi in 1911 because it was declared by the Emperor of India, George V, King George V. And what is there in India, in your own city, to celebrate his arrival? Gateway of India. Gateway of India was built for his reception. This is not the Gateway of India that you see. This is Apollo Bandar. Gateway of India was made much after that, 1911 के बाद बना है. But this is the same place where he was received. And this was a temporary structure for his reception. And what does he do? First and foremost, he says that this capital city from Calcutta should come to Delhi. And he wants to see all the Rajas and Maharajas. How many? 565. And where? In the new capital. And what does he do? He holds a Delhi Darbar. Not the one where you get one of the best biryanis in Mumbai. The real Delhi Darbar happened in 1911. And he invited all the 565 Maharajas, and everybody came, नमन किया उनको, बख्शिश दिया कुछ ना कुछ तो, किसने क्या कुछ नहीं दिया, सब कुछ किया. And that was the biggest, huge show on earth. 5 लाख लोग आए थे तब. 5 लाख लोग. In the coronation ground. And there he was officially declared as a Emperor of India. And this was considered to be the crowning glory for Indians. And the Britishers for that matter. उसका crown की भी अगर आप कीमत देखोगे तो you will be very surprised to see that. I don't want to go there. And this is the photograph. This is not a painting. Photograph of Delhi Darbar. ये देखिए. Just see how magnum it was. This is the darshan from the Jharoka of Red Fort. This is Nizam of Hyderabad, in those days the richest man in the world, salam kar raha hai banda to the emperor and empress Pancham George. और ये Coronation Park भी हुआ है, which is close to again university area. आप जाके देखिए वहाँ. And this man, there was almost about 500 people. He was received by 565 Maharajas, and what did he wore? He wore a crown which had 8 arches, 6,170 diamonds embedded in that. Okay? With 2,000 sapphires, emeralds and rubies, velvets, and it was weighing close to a kilogram. That's the kind of a crown he was given and he was put on. And this is where and how, why it was shifted to Delhi was because they wanted to be ruling from the center of the city and not from one corner of the city, corner of the country. And then in 1919 में तो कहीं से तो उनको administration करना ही है. So they chose the same civil lines which I told you immediately, the Northern Ridge, and that bungalow today in those days was known as a viceroy's bungalow, because what is the meaning of viceroy? Like a royal. Viceroy. Like royal. So all the people, and like royal ka matlab, a true representative of the king, like royal, is a viceroy of India. And the first viceroy of India started from the place where today it is Delhi University's Chancellor's house. And the very day in 1911, they changed the city's name from Shahjahanabad to Delhi. On the same day in the evening, they also laid a foundation, because it was a very crowded place, for a new city called New Delhi. Understand? Shahjahanabad, Delhi, 1911, New Delhi was declared at that point in time, and they wanted to go to a place which is close to Delhi and on the outskirts of Delhi, which was called Raisina Hills. Naam suna hoga. Raisina Hills, okay? And they planned this city. And who planned this city, my friends? Who planned this city? Sir Edwin Lutyens. You must have heard these stories and these things. Lutyens Delhi. Lutyens this, Lutyens that. It was Sir Edwin Lutyens who was the architect of the New Delhi, which was planned in Raisina Hills, which at that point in time belonged to Maharaja of Jaipur. Okay? So there were two architects. One was Edward Lutyens and the second one was Herbert Baker. And who was the contractor? Take a guess. Sujan Singh, who incidentally is or was the father of Khushwant Singh. So you understand the connect? Okay? No wonder Khushwant Singh is never touched, though he says anything. So, New Delhi, then they started building their new city. And what did they build, my friends? They built the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is today's Rashtrapati Bhavan. It was known as Governor's House. They built the South Block. They built the North Block. They built the Clannad Circus, the shopping area. They built the Parliament House for us. And they built many more such structures which you may not know, but I know it, but known places I have already narrated to you. They built all these things in 1931, having planned it in 1911. Clear? 20 साल में सब कुछ कर दिया. उनको 20 साल क्यों लगे? क्योंकि बीच में वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 हो गया. 5 साल उसमें खा गए उसके बाद पैसा नहीं था, वगैरह वगैरह. 1931 में इन बंदों ने हमारे लिए सब कुछ करके बना के रख दिया. ये देखिए, here you see is the Raj Bhavan. You see the silhouette of Raj Bhavan? This column, many people don't know what this column stands for. This column stands for in memory of Maharaja of Jaipur, who donated this land to British free of charge. So it is known as Jaipur column. Next time you go, you are not allowed. By the way, I came from Delhi, I wanted to see it. You are not allowed to go there by car. You can of course walk it down. This is the North Block, this is the South Block, और यहाँ से जो निकलती है सड़क यहाँ तक, उसको क्या कहते हैं? राजपथ, और it ends at India Gate. कितना सुंदर है. आपने देखा होगा कि if you see the planning of the city in those days, it was amazing. It was so magnum opus, huge. आप जाइए. How many of you have gone to Raj Bhavan, Rashtrapati Bhavan? You have been there? And may I ask you the occasion, sir? देखने गए थे ऐसे ही? नहीं, अंदर गए हो? अंदर का देखा? अच्छा, वेरी नाइस सर. बिकॉज और कैसे लगा आपको? कितना बड़ा है वो? यू कैन नॉट इमेजिन हाउ बिग इट इज. और इट इज मेड फॉर वन फैमिली, बाय द वे. Okay, I had an occasion of visiting that place because I was on the entourage of the President and the Prime Minister of India to various countries, and it was a customary practice to serve you tea and coffee for people who will become a part of the entourage. So I've been there 4 times, fortunately. Huge, you cannot imagine how huge it is, okay? Anyway, this is Raj Bhavan as it was made in those days. और उसकी स्टेट तो इतनी बड़ी है कि पूछो ना, it is declared to be the biggest state house in the world. This is old Parliament building. It was costing 8.3 million rupees only. Okay? And this is the story of Jaipur Bhavan. ये देखिए, I mean Jaipur column. ये बताया मैंने आपको. Finishing. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay? This is your Raj Bhavan. And this is the Lutyens' Delhi. I'm sure everybody has been to Chanakyapuri area. You find the small bungalows over there. Lot of politics, lot of decisions are made which are impacting you and me, my friends. Which are impacting us today. यहाँ बैठे बैठे चाय के ऊपर चर्चा होती है और it impacts you and me. Resin manufacturer का कितना बढ़ाना है, कितना कम करना है, यहाँ होता है. It doesn't happen really in the Parliament House. आप समझे? This is on the 15th of August, 1947. Has anybody taken a guess? I'll take 5 minutes more, but if you are patient enough. Why was India given its independence at midnight? 15th of August. So, सबने सोचा भी है आप लोगों ने कि यार everything happens during the active period 9 से लेकर 5 तक. इंडिया को फ्रीडम रात को 12 बजे मिला. क्यों? No, sir. You're right to an extent, but you do not know how to connect it. Yes, you're right. Japan. Yes. Not really. Anybody else here? Just very interesting fact. It is your country, my friends, and you should know why we got independence at 12 o'clock at night. पूरी दुनिया सोई थी. हाँ बोलो. You're right, sir. I'll come to you later on offline. So, 3 months prior to this, Independence of India Act was passed in Parliament of Britain, and Mountbatten was given a brief that you have to come back after handing over the power to Indians. And on a given day, Mountbatten, 3 months pehle, just blurts out that independence of India will be given on 15th of August. And till date he doesn't know why he said that. But yes, there is a very valid reasoning for it, because that was the time also when a few years ago, couple of years ago, Americans accepted the surrender of Japan on Missouri, USS Missouri, in the Bay of Tokyo on the 15th of August. So he somewhere he had that date in mind, and he declares it. So 3 months was given to the man called Ratcliffe, who divided India. That man had never visited India. He had never visited India. My friend, understand, you are dividing the country. You require a great amount of survey. You require a great amount of demographics to be taken into account. You cannot just do that. That man was, Cyril Ratcliffe was just invited, divide कर दो हिंदू मुस्लिम के हिसाब से. वो एक घर में बैठकर ड्राइंग बोर्ड के ऊपर इसने डिवाइड कर दिया है. Your country was divided on a drawing board within 90 days of decision making. And it's a fact. No wonder we had these issues. They left us with a lot of chaos and a lot of bloodbath. No doubt about it. And there was no reason for it. And he was told very categorically, you can take 13 to 15 months to do so, but at one point in time, this man, दिमाग में कुछ आ गया पता नहीं. And this is what followed, my friends. This is what followed. Images of despair, refugee camps, and what? And where were all these refugee camps? This is such an ironic thing. The refugee camps are opened up in all these 7 different kiles of the earlier rulers of Delhi. All the किले जो थे ना उनके फोर्ट मैंने आपको जो दिखाए है वही ये रेफ्यूजी कैंप से, ये देखिए शेरशाह सूरी का ये किला है. And on the very day when India was getting independent, hundreds of people were dying and being killed over there. And today, what you will see in the next year is newer Delhi. Are you aware of it? The newer vista. The new vista that has been formed. I went there the other day. And this is going to be what it will look like. This is again Raj Bhavan. What is different here is the PM's office is coming here. At this very point in time, it is somewhere in Janpat. And a parliament house, which is the circular in color, will be triangular. It has been built, I saw it just 2 days ago. Okay? Triangular, and there will be all secretariats on either side. So if you go tomorrow to Delhi, this entire Rajpath is dug up completely. Tomorrow morning, if you see it, there is no Rajpath anymore. What was left of Delhi after the Raj went is the president's bodyguard. Have you seen the 26th January parade? Have you seen it? Yes. How imposing is that? How imposing is that? Too good. You really have to see it to get that feeling that this is my country. And what is left behind is the president's bodyguard. Here it is. And this is the presidential buggy. Today I believe he comes in the bulletproof car. But in earlier times it was a presidential buggy. While division was happening between Pakistan and India, everything was divided. Books were divided, the furniture was divided, and the buggies also were divided. The silver and the golden gilded buggies. So Major, what's his name? Govind Singh won this buggy and 6 such buggies only on a toss of coin. गोविंद सिंह के पास थे, मतलब कैसे करना है अभी, ये तुम्हारा कौन सा हमारा कौन सा, लेट्स डू हेड्स एंड टेल्स. इसके ऊपर trivias are so cute, trivia, that you will not believe that you have come to us because of some silly things. I would like to now read this for you. Lieutenant Mahinder Singh in summer ceremonial uniform, my friends. Now, I've given you a small snippet of what Delhi went through. The bloodbath, the intrigues, and the kind of invasions that it suffered. So, Mahinder Singh in summer uniform, as you see him, of the presidential bodyguard, that is PBG, reminds you of the influence of the Raj. We still are influenced by the Raj. The most important fact is that I'm talking to you in English. There's nothing more influence than this. The red stone in the foreground is the remembrance of the Tomars, मैंने जो बताया आपको. The Chauhans, the Sultanates, the red stone. Everything in Delhi is red stone. It reminds you of the Tomars, which is Chauhans, the Tughlaqs, the slave dynasty, and also the Mughals. For the Republic of India, this is very hard to forget. Very, very hard to forget. We cannot get out of the yoke of slavery yet. And we behave the same way. Because we choose, and we will remain the product of the past. We will. Rest assured, unconsciously we will remain the product of the past. These massive structures of New Delhi were made in 1931. When? 1931, after spending millions of rupees and planning, the British enjoyed these massive structures only for 16 years. Yes or no? 1947 से चले गए वहाँ, ठीक है ना? They left in 1947. It was almost, my friend, I'm ending here, it was almost like a return gift for the new birthday of India. And this is what I would like to quote Jawaharlal Nehru, and he is so right in this. One small quote: Delhi is a grave of many empires. Yes, it is. You have seen it by now. And a nursery of a new republic. Yes, it is indeed. And we need to nurture this nursery. This 2 o'clock telegram agar nahi gaya hota, my friends, to Delhi and the fate of India would have been completely different. And that is where I say, that is the turning point. So you need to understand that turning point. And before I say goodbye to you, my friends, I would like to quote this small little thing, because we had our own issues of internal fights and infights. किसी भी पेड़ के कटने का किस्सा न होता, किसी भी पेड़ के कटने का किस्सा न होता अगर कुल्हाड़ी के पीछे एक लकड़ी का हिस्सा न होता. Thank you so very much. If you have any quick questions, I am here to take it. Any questions? By the way, I'm making a series. This is because it's my passion. Again, as Ballu said it, I like it because to collect the facts and put it across to people in as interesting and as simple fashion as it is. I know. Gotuskar. He's doing only for Bombay basically, and he's going very deep into Bombay. I know about that khaki tours. And so I have completed 4 cities by now. I went to Lucknow for the 4th city. I have completed Mumbai, by the way. Many things we all ourselves do not know what about Mumbai. If I tell you there are about 13 forts in your own city, you will not believe it. There are, even existing today. So these are few things which we need to know. I think this is important for us to know, to be proud about our own city. Thank you very much. If there are no questions, thank you so much. I may have taken a little more time, but I hope it was not as bad. And congratulations to the newly elected president. And congratulations to you also for having led this organization in the most tiring times. Thank you so much.
I was going to say thank you for the engaging session, but I'm going to make it mesmerizing session.
Uh-huh.
And I'm pretty sure that at least I am going to go back and watch this, which we are recording for our YouTube channel. So I'm certainly going to go back and listen to it once again.
Sure.
So thank you so much. And I request President Mahadevanji
Oh my goodness, this is what...
This is just a small token of appreciation for whatever GAN you have given us, and we really appreciate the...
is it made out of resin or something?
Should be a part of resin. Everything has a resin component in it.
Thank you so much. Okay. For the records, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahadevan, and wishing you all the very best.
Thank
See
you
you
very
again.
much, and thank you for
Yeah.
your insights.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mahadevanji, just be here one moment. I call upon past President Shri Dhananjay Sate Saab to present a vote of thanks.
Friends, I am speechless. When I heard that the subject would be my Delhi, why do you call it, why do you spell Delhi like this? It's a Delhi. I was not sure what to expect. I have heard Zankar many times as a Rotarian. I mean, we knew he's a fantastic speaker. He has done excellent talks on management subjects and various other subjects, but never on this subject. So when Ballal told me that he's going to talk on cities, then he had 2 choices, I believe. One was Delhi and one was Bombay. But I'm sure he found a lot more interesting things to talk about in Delhi. We were mesmerized really, what you have said. So what I suggest is, let us have the bar open and you keep talking about it, because we don't mind listening to you for even longer. But let the thirsty people get something to drink. So once it is okay, you can go on talking, and then you'll have plenty of questions, interesting and otherwise. But then you can keep talking. And we have seen your passion in this. I mean, I think you could have gone on for another hour. So it's wonderful. So with this brief once, I say thank you very much on behalf of all of us. And we really thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you for coming. Thank you for spending your valuable time. And we have already given you a memento. Please retain it. Please retain it. Don't go by the size of it. I'm sure something big is inside, but anyway. And perhaps, maybe we'll again call you next year for a different city. Thank you very much. Good day. And I think you better open the bar. People are thirsty. You open the bar now. People are thirsty.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, so we conclude the proceedings.